Hey guys, welcome to my 11th video in my travel hack series. To start off with, I had made a bunch of reviews last year on a trip that I made from Denver to Dallas-Fort Worth to Abu Dhabi down to the Maldives. And we stayed in the Maldives and then we headed back up to Dubai, hung out in Dubai for a few days, and then drove back up to Abu Dhabi and back in the first class apartment on Etihad. And the apartments are awesome, but there are a few quirks that I want to bring up on our whole trip. So I'll tell you how I got there. I'm going to tell you all the points information and also some quirks and tips that we learned along the way. I think that this video is going to be too long to put the entire thing onto one single video. So I am going to split it up. I'm going to have flights as my first video. I'll go over each individual flight, go over the lounges that were involved with each flight, some tips along the way, and in the second video is going to delve into the hotel rooms that we got. We got it all for free. We stayed in one of the best hotels probably in the world. Stayed there for free. Obviously we got our first class flight that was one of the biggest, if not the biggest at the time, the biggest room on an airplane. We had two of them and we got that for free. So I'll tell you how I did it coming up right now. To start off with, we booked an American Airlines business itinerary leaving the country, and coming back in, it was first class. When we got to the airport in Denver, we proceeded to go to the lounge, the American Airlines lounge, which is usually for first and business class customers. I haven't been there as business class. We've usually been in first class, but we went to the same one and walked in, showed them our tickets, and they said that they didn't qualify for the lounge, which we didn't understand. But as it turns out, American Airlines, even though they're partners with Etihad, didn't share, at least at the time, I don't know that if they do now, they don't share their lounges. Usually if you get on a different partner airline, you can share their lounges. In many areas we've been to, there have been lounges we could go to. As it turns out, in Denver, there were none. She actually let us in while she checked for us whether or not we could get in and use the lounge facilities. But I think in the end, as you'll see later in this video, we weren't allowed to be in there. So we got to use lounge facilities, and then we flew from Denver to Dallas-Fort Worth. In Dallas, we went to the American Express Centurion lounge. And I've been to a few of these, and to tell you the truth, they're always super packed. It almost becomes a question of, is even having the card, paying the $500 a year annual fee, even worth it to get into these lounges? Yes, you do get free food, you get free drink, but they're so packed. Every time that we've been there, they're so packed you have to wait around for seating, so you're standing there in open space. The food's okay, it's not bad, but the places are so packed they either need to make them bigger or start restricting how many people are able to use these lounges. We went there, tried to sign up for a massage because that's one of the things that they offer there. They had no rooms for a massage. We were a couple hours out from our flight, but Jennifer ended up getting a manicure while we waited, and I just sat there and had a few appetizers before we left. As it turns out, we left the lounge just a little bit late. We didn't think we were late, but when we got to the gate, there was nobody there except for the agent at the gate. When we walked up, they said, "Oh, Mr. or Mrs. Jensen, you made it." And it was still like 40 minutes prior to departure. So I'm not sure why the plane boarded so early, but it was completely boarded by the time we got there. As we were walking down the jetway, we ran into some other people, and they were boarding this 777 from the front. So everybody got in, and when you turned left, you would go to first class, turn right, you go to business class, and then at the back of the plane was economy. So we were following people in that were going back to the economy cabin, and when we got to our seat about halfway back in business, maybe 5-6 rows, we noticed on Jennifer's seat there was an amenity pack. And I always like these amenity packs because we like to take pictures and show people what you get when you get on the plane. Jennifer's had an amenity pack, but mine had nothing sitting on the seat, which I thought was weird. I kind of looked around for a second, but it was clearly obvious there was no amenity pack that came with this seat. The one next to her also had an amenity pack in it. So I turned around before I even sat down and asked the purser. I said, "I don't think I got an amenity pack." And he looked down and kind of looked around real quick, and he said, "Yeah, okay, I'll get you one," and walked away. And I proceeded to sit down, and Jennifer is looking through her amenity pack and showing me the stuff that she has. And everybody is getting ready for departure. wasn't that much time, and I was going to take pictures of this amenity pack. And Lauren, the purser, came back, and I said, "Oh yeah, I didn't get that amenity pack." And he said, "Are you sure?" And this is the same guy that I talked to, and I said, "Yeah, I'm sure. There was nothing here when we came by." And my assumption was somebody walked by when on their way to economy before we got onto the plane and just snagged it on their way by. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But he looked at me and he said, "Well, I'm 100% positive I put one on your seat." I said, "Well, we came on late. There wasn't one when we got here, and maybe somebody picked it up on their way by." And he said he was 100% positive he put one there. He even looked at another purser, and that other purser said, "Yeah, we double checked." That was about it. And he went back about 3 minutes later, just before takeoff. We were taxiing. He walked by. He dropped it in my lap and he said, and this is a quote, he said, "We have extras if you wanted more. You just had to let us know." And walked away like I had taken it and hidden this $3 amenity pack that was in my seat. It was a clear suggestion that I was trying to steal an extra amenity pack. From that point on, in the flight, I can tell you, he was rude and dismissive of me. He avoided talking to me at all, even when it came around to getting my order for a meal. So that was kind of annoying, but it wasn't that big of a deal. I then directed all of my attention whenever I needed something to that purser so that I didn't aggravate the one that was mad at me for stealing the amenity kit. As far as the plane is concerned, I will say that there is almost no room anywhere to put your extra belongings. Like back in coach, you can put it underneath your seat. That's not true here. The way that the seats are configured, you have to put almost everything in the bin above. So if you want something out, if you want your headphones, you can't just reach down and grab them. Make sure to get them before the flight takes off because all of your stuff will be in the stowage above your seat. On the plane, the entertainment system was okay. It's nothing compared to other airlines that I've been on, like Cathay Pacific or Ameican. Their entertainment system seemed to have more movies and it was better running than Etihad was in business. The screen on the back of the business class seats was not that great, and the quality of the audio was pretty bad. The seats were okay, kind of narrow. They were lie flat seats, nothing special. The food was average to maybe a little below average. The only thing that was decent was the dessert. That wasn't too bad. And that's it. On the 777 Etihad, business class, I would say, is average, not that great. So moving on. Before we got to Abu Dhabi, which was our stop, we went Dallas-Fort Worth to Abu Dhabi, we were given a fast track. Passengers in first class and business class got a little pass, and this allowed you to fast track through immigration customs. So you get into a different line when you get off the plane, and it really was really quick. We got off the plane and we got into a lounge in a very short amount of time. Okay, there is something very important that I need to bring up. Flying from Dallas to Abu Dhabi, we got in really late. It was like midnight, 1 o'clock. I don't remember the exact time. I know it was late. We were shuttled off to a small lounge for Etihad while we waited for our baggage to be brought off the plane. Once they told us it was in, we went out, grabbed our bags, walked out of security to get our bags, and we were staying in a hotel that was attached to the airport. It was called Aerotel. The thing about this hotel is, and we did not know this, is it's behind security, which is fantastic because you never have to leave the airport. The only problem is you can't bring checked luggage into security, just like in the United States. So you've got to check your bags before you go into the secured area to go to your hotel room. So we're leaving this lounge. The airport is almost empty, and we get to the security gate where we need to get through to get to our hotel, which is on the other side. They say we can't bring our checked luggage through to that side. So we're like, okay, where is the counter so we can drop it off, which was right behind us. It was all shut down. There were no agents there. And so we were kind of stuck in this catch-22 where we couldn't bring our luggage beyond the security point, and yet there's nobody that could take our luggage. So we kind of walked around looking for people. We finally ran into somebody who told us, yeah, they'll take our luggage and they'll check it, and then that way we can get beyond security. The problem was they couldn't take our checked baggage and check it in until a certain amount of time. I think it was 4 hours before our next flight, they couldn't check the bag. So ultimately, we either had to wait till 4 hours before our flight, which was early the next morning, and probably I think it was maybe 4 hours from the time that we were currently there. I think we had an 8-hour layover, which would kind of defeat the purpose of getting the hotel and getting a few Z's in before we left. They couldn't take it. The system physically stopped them from being able to check our checked bags. I don't know what it is. It's a security measure or something. Finally, we got a supervisor. The supervisor managed to override it, or they did something to where they were able to take our baggage, and finally got it, and we were able to get through to the hotel. We stayed in the hotel, which had very nice beds. It was very quick check-in. It's very convenient, so long as you're not getting there late at night after everything is closed. It really surprises me that there was something where a hotel is behind security, and yet you can't check luggage there, but you can't check it either. And that seems to be odd that nobody has addressed that before. That could be a big problem. Even if you get there during daylight hours, if you can't check in your bags during a certain time before the flight, whether it's 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, you don't want to necessarily wait there while you could be sleeping on the other side, waiting so that you can check in your bag. So that's a big tip. So in conclusion, this Aerotel hotel inside the Abu Dhabi airport is a fantastic hotel to go to if you can figure out the checked luggage situation. We probably did something wrong, but at the time we tried researching it and it didn't seem like there was anything that we could do. So we just got lucky we got through security. So moving on. After we woke up out of the hotel, went to have breakfast at their lounge. The business class lounge in Abu Dhabi in Terminal 3 is huge, but the bathrooms are super small, and there was actually a line coming out for ours when I tried to use the restroom. Okay, we flew a A320 to get from Abu Dhabi to Mali. I can say that the Etihad staff on this flight were very polite, really had no problems at all. It was a good flight. The food was average, but flying down to Mali was pretty uneventful. Once we landed in Mali, we were actually going to fly to the Hilton Conrad Maldives, which is a fantastic hotel. Be sure and check out my other video to see that. But to do that and to get almost anywhere in the Maldives, you have to take a seaplane. So we left the airport. We were taken by a van to a separate airport, which was a Seaplane airport, which was a pretty cool place. We had an awesome little lounge, although we had to stay there for quite a long time. It was unfortunate. We were just waiting on other passengers, but the lounge was nice. They had a masseuse in there, so you could get a free 10-15 minute massage. They had small sandwiches and drinks, and other than that, it was a decent lounge for such a small airport. So we got onto this small seaplane, and it's actually pretty cool. It's better than some in Fiji we've been on. We've been on some pretty bad ones in Fiji, but this airplane was actually looked in good repair, and as a 6'4" person, I highly recommend, if you're that tall, try to get in that front seat. The front middle seat is about the only one where your legs are actually going to fit. The middle seat has a little bit of room where you can go up into the cockpit. In any other seat I wouldn't have fit. I would have had to bring my legs up to my chest and sit that way, or turn sideways so that my legs were out of the seating area. So luckily enough, on our way out there and on our way back, I had the front seat, so I didn't have to worry about that. So those are a little bit cramped, but flying on this plane is really fun. It's cool. We sat in the seat. It looks like the prop is going to come right in your window. It is kind of freaky, and the way that the propeller looks in these images, that's what it actually looks like when you're looking at it. It looks like it's becoming separated. So it's kind of a cool visual effect, but it's always kind of freaky that you're sitting that close to where the prop is coming around. We landed, and in our next video we'll tell you about the Hilton. The reception was fantastic, and we ended up flying back to Mali, which is on the same plane, and flew Emirates. We had started out on Emirates economy because I actually paid for the Emirates economy with cash instead of paying with points. As it turns out, it was a really inexpensive flight, so I decided to pay for it with cash so I didn't waste my points. The day before we left, we got an email stating that there was availability in business class if we wanted to upgrade, and it wasn't that expensive, so we went ahead and we upgraded to business class. Okay, we flew Emirates flight 659 from Mali to Dubai, and it's not nearly as cramped as the Etihad was. It's the business class is a 232 arrangement. They had a young, very attractive crew. They gave you fast tracks so that when you got into Dubai, just like when you got into Abu Dhabi, you could skip past all the lines getting through customs. So took advantage of that, so that's a nice perk. We had champagne, apple juice. I had a glass of scotch. My wife had one. Mine was Glenfiddich 15-year. Hers was Chivas 18-year. I liked hers a lot more. The food, we both had chicken, and it looked like a TV dinner, and it probably tasted worse. So it was not very good at all. And there was nochi, there was chicken. The nochi was mush. The chicken was okay. They have a huge write-up on their opera cake in their menu, and I would say it was only fair. Nothing special about it. Let's see, the entertainment system, it had a large screen with pretty good resolution, better than Etihad, and a couple of remotes. They were slow in responding, so you click on something, nothing happens. You click on it again, and it registers twice, and then both operations occur. So doing that all the way through the flight, it was kind of a pain in the butt. So you just had to learn not to press something again if nothing happened for a while. All of the luggage must be stowed in the overhead compartment. There was very little stowage around the seat, except for a couple of small cubbies to put like a phone. The seats reclined and went flat, and opposed to Etihad, this is where I preferred the Emirates business class seat. At 6 foot 4 inches, the Etihad seat didn't allow me to lie completely straight. I had to bend my legs because there wasn't enough room between the head and the foot. So in Emirates, I had enough room so that the space between my head and my feet left enough room so that I could lie straight. Width seemed about similar, which still I'm pretty broad-shouldered, so it was still a little tight, but it was just wide enough for me. The footrest was kind of in an uncomfortable position if you're not lying flat, reclines out from the bottom of the seat. It kind of pushes into the calves at the wrong place for me, and so it was really kind of uncomfortable to have a reclined position so that you were sitting back, because the footrest came up and pushed into the back of my calves, which really wore on you pretty immediately. So I had to put my legs around the footrest if I wanted to recline, which kind of put me out into the aisle. It was good for sleeping, but the total length of our flight was not really long enough to warrant sleeping. It was only about a 5-hour flight. We had free internet for the full duration of the flight, and that was just because I was a member of the Skywards. So remember, if you're gonna fly Emirates, be sure to sign up for their free Skywards, Skywards. Go to their website, sign up for a free frequent flyer account, and once you're on it, you get free internet for the flight. My wife, who is not a member of the Skywards, which we didn't realize before we got on them, she did not get the free entire flight. She only got 2 hours for free since she wasn't a member. Now we know, and that's a good tip to know. In Dubai, we stayed for a couple of days at the Hilton Jumeirah Beach, and again, that'll be in my hotels review. It wasn't great. We also went to go see the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the world. It was awesome. We also went to the largest mall in the world. I'll put more information about them in my hotel review in the video following this one. Moving on with the flights. From Dubai, we drove to Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi, we stayed overnight in another hotel, the Hilton Abu Dhabi, another not great hotel. I'm going to go over one of the taxi scams that they have in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, and it's important to watch the next video if you're interested in going to the UAE, just for my review on the taxi cab situation that they have there. That's the end of this video. We're going to continue in video 11B, which is going to tell you about our $59 Etihad apartment from Abu Dhabi back to JFK. We had 2 large rooms on an A380, and it cost us $56 a piece. So I'll tell you how I got it and I'll show you the receipts, I'm going to give you the review, and tell you everything about it in the next video. Please like and subscribe. We need your subscriptions. Thanks for watching.